Today is the first episode of Debugging the Solar System series, which focuses on the World Ancestor game and exposes how some of the development process happens for it. It's an active game that's being constantly iterated over, given the number of assets that it uses. And those assets essentially have to be perfect for them to function in a game and in a simulation. So today I'm going to be going over 3 satellites that precede the release of the demo. 3 satellites that I've identified with a material issue, and I'm going to showcase how I debugged that problem and then made sure that the satellites showed up properly in the solar system scene. So it's part debugging, part fixing the problem. If it's, it doesn't necessarily have to be a bug. It could be something like visual, some inconsistency or something like that. So the video will showcase that, and a fix, a before and after of the fix for these 3 satellites that I've identified. So these fixes are in the demo, and it's imperceptible as it is. So the fixes are applied behind the scenes, and the players don't. They're just basically updated as they play the game. So the first satellite I identified, and here's the footage for it, as not rendering its material correctly, was the GeoTailSat satellite, which is one of NASA's satellites still in orbit. And the issues I found were that the material was rendering a matte black, regardless of what I was doing to the model in Blender. So I would rework the UVs for the mesh. I would recreate the materials, reassign the textures. Nothing was working. But one important difference in Unity is that these models where this issue was persistent were in the blend format, so .blend. They weren't in the FBX format, which is what I typically use. So I just re-exported them after trying a bunch of things that didn't work. I re-exported it as FBX, and then the materials started showing up correctly as they were assigned in Unity. And now, as you can see from these screenshots for GeoTailSat, now we can see the colors and the some of the individual materials that show what that structure is made of in the satellite, for example, right? So its antenna, or its solar cells, solar capture cells. It depends on the design. So now we can see it clearly. The second one is JSON-1. So this is another satellite that NASA has up there, and as you can see from the screenshot, the issue was that it was showing up as this matte black material, just like the GeoTailSat underneath it. And I mean, that's not, you can't really experience that satellite in the game if it's not really showing up for you. It's like a black hole, right? You can't see it. So even if you get very close, unless it's doing something with light, you can't see it. So that had to be fixed. So now it's showing up appropriately, and it can be played, it can be experienced. You can zoom in, you can get close to it, look at its parameters, and experience it. And the final one is this Landsat 8, similar issue, based on my reiteration of the satellites, and that was also fixed here as well. Same material problem again. So for all 3 that weren't showing up properly, it was a material issue. Material issue was because the models were stored as blend in Unity. Unity can convert those, but they're not the native format. So I just reverted back to a standard that I have for other models, not necessarily just the satellite models, to convert to FBX. So I converted it to FBX, and it fixed the problem. I didn't have to do anything fancy in Blender. I tried all those things. So converting to FBX was the solution, and now we have three proper models that should have been and should be presented appropriately. This is the GPM. This is GPM. It's not one of the ones that we corrected. Icon, this was looking correct. In game now, and they're not black black material. So the same principle, same thing with the other ones. So I just really only need to check one, because the same fix is applied to the other ones, and they're already verified in outside of play mode. So that's it. They're in. I'm a happy camper.